Y'all see the vibes. Y'all see who's here with me. It's a thick frame Thursday. Wasted talent. My man. The illustrious and praiseworthy. Moton. We gonna talk that shit today, baby.
It's been a day. It's been a day, man. It's been a day.
What's up? My brother, what is the deal, man? So like you were saying, man, before I so rudely started the intro, it's been a day, right?
Yeah, it's definitely been a day. I had to run some errands, had to do some things, get ready for the schedule release. I got a column. People early in the building, I got a column dropping as soon as the full schedule comes out. So look out for that. It's definitely gonna cause a stir on Twitter, on social media. So I'm looking out for that. As always, if you got any questions about the column, you got any comments about what I wrote, I'm my Twitter handle is right there, Moton. So you got me right there. If you got any gripes or you got anything to say,
they can say what they want, man.
they can say what they want.
Listen, we
Free
give
country.
them information and not affirmation, right?
Some people want that affirmation, though.
Yeah,
some people want that, and the crazy part is they look for me to do that. And like I said, I came on your first show, and the thing I said was the one thing I can promise people is that I'll be fair about the Raiders. Yeah. I'm not gonna be a pom-pom waver. That's not my job. That's not what I'm gonna do. But I will be fair. And I see both sides of the coin. I see sometimes these analysts they don't watch Raider games. I think I watch more Raider games than most analysts do. Yeah. So I know the ins and outs of the team. A lot of people, they're stuck on last year, 2 years, what happened 3 years ago. And I give you the updated, the real, what's going on now. And I'll tell you this straight off the top that the last 2-3 years, I've taken the over on the Raiders win total, cashed in, because like I said, the perception of the Raiders is that they're still the old Raiders, the bungling Raiders that can't get to 500. So people are just down on them out of the gate, and they just don't know what the team is doing, how the team has processed over the last 2-3 years, and how they've improved. So, like I said, I'm just here to offer that balance.
So, all right, since we've breached that subject, what do you see happening this season? Because for me, I'm looking at our roster. I'm looking at a lot of the moves that have been made, like the Stidham move that we can get into a little bit. Some of the moves that have been made have been great. You know what I mean? But what I do think is that Patriot Way, it might come to bite us in the behind. I think it might. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the Patriot Way only works 100% when you have Tom Brady at quarterback. Let's just be for real here. And I think that I can't be mad at anything they've done this offseason. But lately, there are certain people that are out there that they're going to have to get for us to be able to keep up with the people in our division. Like, they have to go out and go address the situation that we got at cornerback. That's a gaping hole. And I don't think that you could develop your way out of that problem. They have to go out there and they have to address it in a real way. It might not be Bradbury, but they have to go get a veteran presence in that secondary. That's a gaping hole. If they think that they're going to, coach a guy up and just stick him out there on the island with what we got in the AFC West, that's going to be a serious problem, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there would have been a lot of talk about Bradbury because he just got released on Monday. I feel like that would be a good move at the right price. I'm with you, though. I wasn't too comfortable with what they have at cornerback. Now, against an average passing attack, maybe that could get you by, because I think Averett also, if Rocky Ya-Sin is not ready to start, I think Averett could be that guy on the outside because he played well for the Ravens last year. But what you essentially have is you have a bunch of number 2 and number 3 cornerbacks.
Yeah.
If you're playing, like, I'm just going to use an example. If you're going against the Chargers. Who's checking Keenan Allen? What if Mike Williams is going off?
Yep.
If you get the Cardinals and they got DeAndre Hopkins back, who's checking DeAndre Hopkins? You don't have that cornerback back there to me right now.
Sir.
And I think this is why we want the Raiders to go after Bradbury once they clear up that cap space after June 1. Hopefully he's still available at that time.
Yeah,
or maybe
they have
maybe they've already reached out to him and said, look, we're willing to offer you this if you just sit tight. Or who knows? But I think I would feel a lot better about the Raiders secondary if they upgrade that cornerback. Definitely.
Look, and that's a wonderful way to look at it, right? But the way I'm looking at it is that the Giants had a trade in place for Bradbury to go to the Texans. He wasn't willing to agree on a contract with the Texans, so the Texans backed out of the deal. So Bradbury wants to get paid. So I don't necessarily think that we're going to be able to get him on the cheap. So if you're going to have to make a decision, there's one player on this roster, and Doc's touched on his show, that you can get that kind of relief from day one, and that's Denzel Good. Would you be willing to get rid of Denzel Good to have a Bradbury on this roster?
I've been projecting Denzel to get cut months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
If you look at my old articles, I had 5 names to be cut or contract restructured. And Denzel Good was, I think, 1 or 2 on my list because you're freeing up about a little over $4 million if you let him go. And like I've been saying, it's like a broken record saying this, but he's 31 coming off of a torn ACL. He just drafted Dylan Parham, who could play both guard positions. Denzel Good is expendable. And I didn't understand how a lot of people were hyping him because he could play right tackle, and I get that. But this is why you bring back Illuminor. I don't like the Brandon Parker re-signing, but they brought him back for a reason. I don't think Denzel Good is at the top of the list of guys who are going to play right tackle next year if they need one.
Denzel Good is probably their best offensive lineman, though. Like, if you really look at it, skill-wise. I'm not – listen, Colton Miller is their left tackle. He's their best he's their best lineman. But I'm talking about as far as their most talented lineman, Denzel Good is most likely this guy can play every position on an offensive line.
He's their most he's their most versatile lineman. But every position he plays right now, they have an answer for it. You say, okay, left guard. I think John Simpson could be pretty decent. He has to obviously cut down his penalties, but as far as a pass protector, pretty good. He was a pretty good pass protector down the stretch. I wrote a piece not too long ago. Didn't give up a sack or quarterback hit after week 13. Andre James was the opposite. He cut down on his penalties, but he struggled with his pass protection. After week 15, he allowed 3 sacks. So, that's why I say Dylan Parham has a chance to get that center position if they feel like he's a better pass protector than Andre James. I have nothing against Andre James. But back to Denzel Good, if he's your right guard, I personally think that Alex Leatherwood is going to start the season at right guard. I did some research, and Josh McDaniels and the offensive line coach, Carmen Brasillo, they usually use big body right tackles. Trent Brown, he's about 380. Yeah. Mike Onwenu, 350 pounds. Illuminor played right tackle for the Patriots a couple years ago. He's about 350, 345 in that range. They like big right tackles. Okay. And Leatherwood is listed at about 312 on the official website. I don't know what his weight is now. But if he's 312, he doesn't fit the profile for a right tackle that they usually go with. Their right tackles are usually 330 and up. So I personally think Leatherwood's going to shift into right guard, and that's why they brought back Brandon Parker. And I think Brandon Parker is going to be in contention for a right tackle spot. Maybe Denzel Good as emergency plan, and Illumina. I think those 3 guys are going to battle for that position, and you're going to get outside the word on the inside. But that's just my opinion, me doing my research.
Yeah, I mean, my projected offensive line for this season is, of course, Colton Miller, Denzel Good at left guard, Dylan Parham at center, Alex Leatherwood at right guard, Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle. That's my line.
That I think I had the same. Who'd you have at left guard?
Denzel Good, because you haven't been being cut. I have Denzel Good starting at left guard.
Okay, so the differences I have John Simpson getting back, staying at left guard. I have Andre James maintaining his job at center. And I have Illuminar at right tackle, and I have Alex Leatherwood at right guard.
And see, people in the chat, we got over 160 in the room. You guys, listen, this is an impromptu wasted talent podcast because, listen, it's very impromptu. My brother said he pulling up now. We pulling up. We start the show. That's it. That's it. Hold the phone. You say you got to come on now. We coming on now. That's it. Right? But this is the thing they're saying in the chat. A lot of people are talking about an undrafted free agent, the kid out of Utah, Bam. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm not even going to struggle pronounce his name. I'm sure, you being the professional that you are, you know how to pronounce his name. If you don't, we're going to call him Big Bam.
We're going to call him Bam for today. But I saw the piece, Vic. I just want to say this. A lot of the buzz sometimes comes from, reporters or whoever. They have something to say about a certain player, and all of a sudden it gets picked up. It gets heavy on social media, and everyone picks up, and then everyone starts repeating. Not to say the people in the chat are doing that right now, but a lot of people are coming back with, well, I heard this reporter mention this guy, so he must be good. And I'm nothing against Bam. Like I said, I saw Vic Tafer's story today. He put one out, I believe, earlier. I don't think he's gonna make an impact year one. He may make the roster. Yeah, but I don't see him starting at any one of the 5 positions. If I'm just being honest right now, if I'm just throwing it out there, if you're spitballing right now,
I mean, bro, listen, you know how much serendipity has to happen for all of these rookies to come in, win a starting position, and play well all in one fell swoop. That's almost unheard of. You might get one rookie that surprises you, but chances are you're not going to get 3, 4, 5 rookies that are going to surprise you. So we're asking for Dylan Parham to come in and take Andre James' spot, which I think is very, very plausible. I think that's our rookie this year. The rest of these guys, who knows?
It is. It's just that I think Parham's best shot at starting is probably at guard, especially if you cut a Denzel Good. And let's say Alex Leatherwood does start at right tackle. So now you have an open spot at right guard. And I don't think John Simpson is necessarily safe, even though I think he could be a decent left guard. I don't think he's necessarily safe. Again, Parham has 3 years of experience playing both guard positions. Played right tackle 1 year. But I believe he had 2 at right guard and 1 at left guard. Either way, I think his best pathway of starting is probably at the guard position because he didn't take a snap at center at college at Memphis. He took snaps at center during Senior Bowl week. And teams like what they saw, and they asked him, like, what do you think about playing center? He has the skill set for it. I just wrote a piece.
And that's the reason why, because this is a man who only has to compete with one guy at center. For him to play guard, for him to start, he has to compete with like 5 or 6 other guys. So that's the reason why I think listen, we know the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. There's a straight line to center. You got to beat one guy out. And that's the reason why I got him slotted at center. And plus, in the power scheme with Carmen Basillo, I don't think Andre James is their guy there. And if you look at some film on Andre James last year, some of his worst games were when they had a designated nose lined up over him and he couldn't go and help out. He had a nose guard right over him. He got destroyed.
Yeah, he's not a power guy. He was a former tackle. He was actually a tackle at UCLA. I wrote a piece. He actually replaced Colton Miller at UCLA on the right side. And then on the left side, when Colton Miller went to the NFL, the Raiders picked him up. Then he moved over to the left. He was actually a tackle that got converted to a center under the Gruden regime. So it makes sense. I totally understand if he's not the center. I just wonder how quickly can Parham pick it up, transition from a guard to a center on the pro level. It's going to take him some time.
Yeah. Hey, Mo, we got a super chat here. We got to pay some bills here. Why trade for Stidham when we could have gotten Carson Strong for free? He'll become special. I'll burn down Dave's house. I don't know what he meant by that, but what do you think
Dave's
about
house?
that?
I think he meant Dave's house.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'll burn that. So I didn't want to say that. You know, I don't want my channel canceled.
Canceled. Yeah, you want to
Yeah,
get
so
wiped off.
we're gonna go with days, right? But in all seriousness, the reason why you trade for Stidham is because of the familiarity they have with him and the fact that he's a pro. Carson Strong, that's just the currency of hope. We don't know how good Carson Strong will be in the National Football League. He's a man that wasn't drafted. We have no idea. So, I mean, Mo, if you can broach that subject a little bit.
Yeah, what you said makes sense. I mean, I said it earlier today. He's basically John Gruden's version of Nathan Peterman. Only difference is that Stidham, as you just said, knows the system. So it makes sense for him and Mullens to battle it out. And if Mullens is not back in the near future, then Stidham's going to be basically your backup guy. Remember, the Patriots drafted Stidham in the 4th round.
Yeah.
This isn't some guy that went undrafted. They actually thought he had something. They drafted him, early day 3. So this wasn't just a throwaway pick when they picked him up.
The only problem I have with that is that, the narrative when he got drafted was he's going to be Brady's heir apparent. He could possibly be his heir apparent. Mm-hmm. And they went from that to them bringing in Cam Newton and sitting him on a bench. And then after that, going and drafting Mac Jones. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's like how
they figured out he wasn't that dude.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And that's what it is. So now they're bringing him in and they're like, well, listen, you're going to be a coach with shoulder pads on. We need somebody to teach our system. And you see they've done that all throughout the roster. They did that at running back, too, with Brandon Bolden. They're doing that with him. They did that in the back end with Harmon in the secondary. They're bringing their guys in, to kind of bring that Patriot culture into the Raiders. You can see it plain as day.
But you know what, though? That's common. Most teams do that. I mean, I remember when Gruden came in, how many older guys did they bring in that were former Cincinnati Bengals under Gunther, or former, this guy played under Greg Olsen, this guy played under this coach. It's all NFL is all about, connections. And that's why when I do these free agent pieces, not to go off on a tangent, you always look at the guys who played under certain coaches.
Yeah.
Because those are the guys that are going to be brought in when a new regime comes in, because those are the guys going to be teaching the young guys the system. We don't see a lot, but when they run the practice squad and they do their practices, those guys are valuable to teaching the system and getting guys up to speed. So I think that's part of the deal.
Yeah, you got to have those coaches on the field, and you got to have things that help out the culture. So while we get into this, the schedule is coming out today. I don't have it yet. We went on a little early. There's some rumors about what's going to happen. I'm going to go on Twitter, see if I can find something.
Yeah, I was just refreshing my phone, looking at it.
So just based off of what we do know, we know who we're playing this year. We know the divisions we're playing this year. How plausible do you think it is for the Raiders to win this division?
It's obviously, I think it's plausible. I don't want to give away what my column is going to be, because if I answer the question directly, I'm going to give it away. But okay. I think it's plausible. I have 2 issues with the AFC West right now, right? People are assuming that the Chiefs are going to win the AFC West just because they've won it the past, how many years. But people are just giving the title to the Chiefs, and I totally disagree with that. The Chiefs have some glaring weaknesses. They didn't fix their run defense. They didn't bring in a veteran run defender to fix their terrible run defense. They lost their lead cornerback. They got a rookie, Trent McDuffie, although I like him. He's a rookie back there. We don't know if he's going to play boundary or the slot. To me, Tyrann Mathieu is a hit that they took. I know they got Justin Reed, but the guy can't tackle. He's missed 14% of his tackles last 2 years. And let's be honest, we haven't seen a Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes without Tyreek Hill for long stretches. Yeah. How's that offense going to look without its most explosive weapon? So we don't know. But anyway, back to the Raiders. To answer your question, yes, it's plausible. I think that division is going to be airtight. I think it's paper thin between each team. I'll give away a hint to what my column is going to be. I actually think that division is going to be the toughest division this season. And all of those teams are going to be in contention for either a wild card spot or a playoff spot at the end of the year. It's going to come down to the last week. And I think it's going to come down to some tiebreakers.
Yeah, this is the NFL's version of the Hunger Games.
Yes.
This is going to be a war of attrition. That is one big reason why I like the way this team is being built, because we're not going for the big swings. We made our big swings initially, and what we've done is up and down the roster, we've added competition and we've added depth. There aren't many people on this roster who haven't started at one point in their career that are not rookies. So, we have up and down this roster guys that can fill different roles, different needs, and we have the kind of coaching staff who don't go into a week with one particular scheme. They scheme week to week. So they got smart football players and versatile football players. So I feel like, I'm very happy about the way that Patriot Way kind of comes into play. A little bit of why I'm a little apprehensive with the fact that they haven't addressed some of their needs when it comes to speed. You know what I mean? I don't really think that they're going to go. I thought they were going to go out there and go get some faster guys on the roster. It doesn't look that way.
I don't think they feel they need the speed. I understand Davante Adams is not a speed guy. Hunter Renfrow is not a speed guy. Brian Edwards is not a speed guy. Darren Waller not a speed guy. But if you look at the Patriots last year and I look at the roster last year in their pass catching group, weren't really any speed guys on that group either. They signed Nelson Aguilar, but I wouldn't say he's a speed guy. Now, he was a big play receiver for the Raiders 2 years ago, but I wouldn't categorize him as a speed dude. Like they just had a bunch of reliable guys who could catch the football supposedly. Now their offense wasn't supposed to. They had a rookie, but I think they feel like they're good enough where they can neglect speed and still be productive through the air and on the ground.
Yes, sir. And I have to read this comment real quick. Van City Raiders, shout out to you. We have over 250 in the room.
Raider Equinox is upon us.
Oh, the Raider Equinox is definitely upon us. Wait a minute. I think I'm having an issue here. Let me reset the router real quick, man. Hold on. I think I'm having a little Wi-Fi issue up in this piece, man. I don't know what's going on.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, man. I mean, what a day to have technical difficulties, right? We got you in the place to be, and now the Wi-Fi is acting up, man. It's unbelievable.
We got time. We
good to go now? Everybody in the chat, do me a favor. We good to go. Y'all let me know. The connection is unstable.
I'm trying to find unbelievable. I'm trying to find these leaks that are not fake leaks.
Yeah, I know, man. See, that's the reason why I'm not saying anything. Some of these leaks are trash, bro. Some of them are trash.
A lot of them are. They got a lot of gotcha accounts out here. So
yeah, man. I can't really get. See, that's why I'm letting you do it, bro. You know what the deal is, but they say I'm still lagging here. What the heck is going on here? Jeez, man, this is crazy. But yeah, man, listen. They one thing that I do know is that hold on, wait a minute. You're super in and out of the stream. That's crazy, yo. Wasted my schedule. So I think we're back in the place to be, man. But yo, look, man. So now when we talk about the Raider Equinox, when we talk about what's gonna go on, the thing that is worrisome to me is not just the AFC West. It's the rest of the AFC. The rest of the AFC is going to be a dogfight. So it's going to be very, very hard for us to get 3 teams from the same division in the playoffs. You have to pretty much win your division. That's the only way that you're going to be able to punch your ticket to the playoffs this year, because the Central is going to be crazy. The AFC East, the Bills are still in the AFC East. The Patriots are still in the AFC East. The Jets have gotten better. I mean, all up and down the AFC, man, it's unbelievably good, man.
The North is still pretty good. I think the AFC North is going to have 2 playoff teams. I think, again, I'm playing spoiler in my own column, but I think the Ravens and the Bengals are going to be in the playoffs. People like the Ravens. Well, the Ravens, if you don't know, the Ravens had a lot of injuries last year. They lost their top 2 running backs before they even started the season. Lost Marcus Peters before the start of the season. As long as they're healthy, they're going to be back in the mix. So you're right. I don't think you're going to get 3. Every team from the AFC West is not making the playoffs. I think one team is going to miss out. And I think that team that, again, to repeat myself, the one team that's going to miss out is probably going to miss out because of a tiebreaker.
Yeah, man. I mean, see, look, the only thing is I'm always under not the impression, but I always use the old adage, you gotta beat the champions, man. The Kansas City Chiefs have always won this division. They have the best coach and quarterback combination in the entire division. And to be honest with you, man, I think the road to the AFC West still goes through Kansas City. Now, listen, I understand exactly what you're saying. I get it. I get it.
You heard what I had to say about the Chiefs.
I heard, and I agree. What I'm saying is that, listen, the Chiefs still got Patrick Mahomes. They still got Andy Reid. And until we prove that we can outcoach Andy Reid, I'm still gonna pencil them in as a playoff team at the very least. And we're another playoff team. The Chargers, even though they've reloaded and got better all up and down their roster, and they're a very scary team on paper, they have a guy that's coaching the football team that acts like he's playing Madden football. And I think that the inexperience that coach over there with Staley is going to hurt them.
I had that take about Denver. And I know a lot of people are expecting Denver to take off this year, and I expect them to be a lot better because they do have Russell Wilson. But they have a first-time head coach. He's not a first-time play caller because he was the OC for the Jaguars when they went to the AFC Championship game against the Patriots, if you don't remember that. Yeah, Blake Bortles did pretty well with Blake Bortles. So I'm not discounting him so much, but they do have a first-time defensive coordinator. To me, I get a little weary of teams that have brand new coaching staffs and guys in their first time, being a coordinator, first time being a head coach. I kind of put, hit the pause button a little bit when I see that.
Yeah.
What I could say about the Chargers is at least their coaching staff was together last year. So they can learn from their mistakes. I actually think Brandon Staley is going to look at that Chiefs game that he threw away when they lost in overtime on Thursday Night Football. I believe he went for it on his own side of the field, 4th and 18th or something like that.
Yeah, he tends to do that.
I think he's going to look at those situations and go, well, if I had just punted the ball, kicked the field goal, Chargers would have won 10 games last year if they hadn't fumbled that game against the Chiefs. If they win that game, they have 10 wins. And we're looking at it totally different. So I think he's going to learn from his mistakes last year. And I think you're going to see a different type of play calling from him as far as decision making from him as far as what he does on 4th down. I think he's going to play the field a little more. And he's going to have a better defense this year to do that. See, last year, the Chargers defense was absolute garbage. I believe it was 29th in points allowed. So they giving up a lot of points, and he was going for it on 4th down. It just didn't make any sense. Yeah. But they're going to have a better defense this year. But it's going to be they're going to
have markedly better defense, and they're going to have a better pass rush. The thing about the Chargers that does concern me, and I'm not going to lie, is the maturation of Justin Herbert. That concerns me. The kid he's looking like he has a trajectory to be one of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League. So with that and them having a better defense and having a Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson and all of these guys, they're going to be tough to get through. But I feel like, the Raiders and what we've done, our roster could stand with anyone if we go and we fill the 2 holes that we have. We need to go out there. We need a number 1 corner, and they're not growing on trees. There's a very short list of people that we can even put in that echelon, right? And if we don't get a number 1 corner, we have to go out there and fill this roster up with guys who are former starters who can fill roles, so you can use them and kind of spell them in based off of the matchup that you have, right? So, like guys like Jack Rabbit Jenkins, right? Like this is a guy who gets beat a lot, but he's a guy who – listen, he's a guy who jumps routes. He's a guy who gets a lot of turnovers and interceptions.
He gambles a lot. He reminds me of Asante Samuel a little bit.
Yes. Listen, high risk, high reward. Everybody says wasted your freezing. Guys, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I hope you can hear me. And that's really the most important thing. Because, listen, I'm not going to stop this broadcast. My brother Mo's on here. He's pulled up. We got over 300 in the room.
Hey, if you got to step out for a minute or two, do you? I got up until about 7:15. About 10 minutes. Bro. Look, 10 minutes after 7.
So facts. Look, this is what I'm gonna do. Everybody, Mo, I'm gonna put something in the chat. I'm gonna reset my router real quick. So I hope that I get better reception. This is just a terrible, terrible situation that we have here. I don't know what the hell happened. You know what it is too? I rebooted my modem before we came on just to make sure that I didn't have any issues. And then now it's acting like it looks crazy, man. But it's all good.
I mean, I can hear you. I mean, you're not choppy. You're not that choppy to me right now.
Yeah, no. I mean, I know everybody can hear me, man. Everybody, look, thick frame Pharaoh. I'll read some of these chats while I get this thing together. We have the thickest strength of schedule. listen, going back to, I don't know if you watched the show at all, but what was one time we were breaking down film and we were talking about some of the rookies that were coming on. And when I was talking about Neil Farrell, I said, as a scout would say, he has a thick frame. I said he has a thick frame, and now it's lived forevermore. So now I've had people, my brother Halo Raider made me a cup that says Thick Frame Nation. They got a shirt. It's unbelievable now. So now everything is about the thick frame now, yo. And when we finally drafted Neil Farrell, everybody went crazy, man. We had to air, man. When we drafted Neil Farrell, people went bananas, brother. It's unbelievable. Hey, Mo, we got Arkham Raider in the place to be. He had something. He said, Mo, I've been following you for years on Bleacher Report. Keep up the great work, brother.
Appreciate that. I recognize the name. A lot of these names in here I do recognize. I had a guy here recently sent you a super chat. I forgot to shout him out. Cunningham. I have him on my Facebook actually too. He's been following me for years. We've been in contact. We've actually exchanged private messages and have been in contact with good dude.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to
brothers in here, man. Like the nation messing with you, Mo. Yo, the nation is on fire, brother. It's on fire today. This is. I mean, listen. This has been going crazy. Like this has been going crazy, man. The chat's been going crazy. We got the mayor up in here. Doc's ENT, Graphic Raider, my brother in the place to be. Halo Raiders in the place to be.
Shout out to Docs. I gotta get on his show too because he reached out to me a while ago. Shout out to Docs because it was around the draft. I was busy. Docs, my bad, man. A lot of people have been reaching out to me. I just haven't been able to get on. This dude, Wasted just caught me at a good time. He was like, yo, I gotta have you on before the schedule release. If you gotta go on early, if you gotta go on late, I just want you on. So he caught me at a good time.
You already know, man.
You make a lot of people upset, brother. Though. A lot of people are gonna look at this stream like, yo, what happened to me? What happened to my podcast? My battery. If you asked me to go on your podcast or your show, my bad. This is just a spur of the moment thing. I actually just finished.
Don't lie to them. Don't lie to them. Mo, come on, man. Don't lie to them. Let them know, brother. Let them know. Don't lie to them. Let them know. And then, yo, this is the thing. Yo, it's Mount Shieldmore or nothing, bro. Graphic, Andy, Hammer, myself, and I. That's it, bro.
I ain't gonna lie, Wasted does have the direct line to me, so he can get as soon as I stop typing. As soon as I stop typing, he knows where I'm at.
My brother, man, I appreciate you, dog. But yo, before we get into this, I wanted to ask you about the signing that we had yesterday, man.
Faster Raider.
What do you think, man? What do you think about our brother K. Cole instead of J. Cole? What you think, man?
I think it's a decent depth signing. I think DeMarcus Robinson is going to be ahead of him in the pecking order, though. I mean, the Raiders not going to keep all these wide receivers. So, I mean, this year more than I think in years past, you're going to get a couple of names, maybe 3 names that are surprised you that get cut, and you're like, wow, I didn't expect that guy to get released. Like, I remember last year when Willie Snead got let go, John Brown got let go. People were kind of surprised, and it happens. A lot of these late signs, some of them are just like, okay, we need some depth. If there's some injuries, we got a guy to step in. But a lot of these guys aren't going to make major contributions. As long as your top 3 pass catchers on the Raiders are healthy, and that's Davante Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and Darren Waller. As long as you got those 3 guys on the field, you're just asking the other guys to fill in gaps and fill in holes and make big plays when they can.
Yeah, see, the difference with I think Keelan Cole is that Keelan Cole is like a poor man's Michael Crabtree. He's a great catch radius. He's the exact same size as Michael Crabtree. They're about the same speed, 4.5 40. And they're guys that go up and get the ball. They're great red zone targets. And You know what I mean? They catch the ball in space. I think Keelan Cole is a guy that was brought in for a specific reason because he's the perfect wide receiver that fits Derek Carr's skill set. I really believe that. You know, I think that DeMarcus Robinson might be the guy that gets cut, to be honest with you. I mean, Keelan Cole has had more production with the Jets last year than damn near than all of him and Matt Hollins' career.
Matt Hollins is going to be a special teamer, by the way. I mean, a lot of people are saying Matt Hollins is a very, interesting dude, but interesting only goes but so far. He's going to be a special teamer. I mean, you want the truth of it. Because what I see a lot of times during free agency and the draft is people overhyping below average. Not to say Matt Collins is below average, but hyping players that at the end of the day aren't going to make that big of a contribution. And I think he's a special teams guy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't get ecstatic about every single signing.
Yeah,
and if a lot of these guys were as good as people are making them up to be, they wouldn't be available. But conversely, sometimes you got to find them diamonds in the rough. Conversely, you have to go out there and you got to put guys in better positions. The National Football League, there's very, very little that separates some of the superstars from some of the guys who are on the bench besides opportunity and people recognizing whatever trait they have and maximizing it within their offensive system. So I think with the guys that we have now, they're not just going out there and just bringing people in. They're very purposeful when they bring people in. So that's the reason why I think there's more optimism about some of these guys that the media is hyping up.
The thing is, you can only keep 53 of them. So we got
91 players on the roster currently.
They're gonna be some tough cuts. So they're gonna be some guys you thought that maybe they could contribute, but they're gonna get released. And if you look at the wide receiver depth chart. Davante Adams, Hunter Renfrow, I'm sure they're going to give Brian Edwards another chance. We just talked about DeMarcus Robinson, Keelan Cole. I know people are going to laugh at me for this, but I'm still not giving up on Tyron Johnson, the former Chargers wide receiver, because he has that speed. If he can just sharpen up some things, if he could just be consistent, I think he could be the speed guy to make he'll be the back end of the roster, of course, but I think he could be the speed guy if he could just get his stuff together.
I think he's the first thing. He's the first thing Vegas spoken. Him and Amik Robinson.
Meek. I was so high on Amik coming out. I thought Amik would be a pretty solid slot guy. I know he played outside of Louisiana Tech, but I thought he would be something, and just hasn't worked out for him. He's not making the roster.
Yeah, he's I'm surprised they didn't cut him already. You know what I mean? Be quite honest with you. I mean, there's a couple of cuts that I can't see John Simpson getting cut. John Simpson's the strongest guy in the Raider locker room. I think John Simpson can be a starter. I really do. I like John Simpson.
Left guard. I think he's of all the guys, I think he's the front runner to get one of those spots. I would definitely. I know you like Denzel Good, and he is a functional player who can play a lot of positions, but I really honestly think John Simpson's probably going to be a starter. I think people overlook him because of the penalties, and they say, well, he was a penalty machine, but I mean, he wasn't the only one.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff is Raider bias. Let's be for real here. And I know you can't say that because of your position. I'm going to say it. There have been times where I've seen people grab Max Crosby and maul this guy, take his shoulder pads sticking out of his jersey.
Yeah.
Nobody's calling anything. Alex Leatherwood leans his head forward a little bit. Right on the goal line. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So a lot of that stuff is that Raider bias too. Let's just be for real. These guys are not holding a lot of calls, especially in that Charger game, man, with Simpson and Leatherwood were bogus. Super bogus, man. And I don't mean to be the Raider conspiracy theorist, but let's just be for real here, man. You can't say, I'm going to say it for you. It's Raider. Listen, everyone, I don't know if I'm lagging or not. It's Raider bias. That's it. And I'm going to be honest with you. I can also see a scenario where Denzel Good goes to right tackle. Denzel Good is big enough to play right tackle in your system.
Yeah, he has a size, definitely.
So basically, you can have Miller, Simpson, Parham, Leatherwood, Good, boom.
Look, I'm sure people in the chat will agree with me on this one. If Denzel Good playing right tackle just means Brendan Parker's not starting there, I'm good with that.
You know what? Listen, me too, bro. Like,
I
go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off, brother.
No, I'm just saying I don't want. I understand that this coaching staff obviously saw something in Brandon Parker. I'm just not seeing it yet. Maybe they turn it around for him, but I don't want him in the starting lineup.
No, not at all. Not at all, bro.
To me, he's not it. He played left tackle on the collegiate level, North Carolina A&T. I think he was at. Played left tackle for 3 years. He didn't play right tackle until he got into the NFL. And I emphasize this point. Not all tackles are interchangeable. What I mean by that is not all tackles can play both sides of the line. Some tackles are strictly right tackles. Some tackles are strictly left tackles. He may be that guy strictly left tackle, and we all know Colton Miller is in that spot. So I just don't see it for Brandon Parker right now.
Yeah, we've seen Brandon Parker play left tackle, and he actually filled in admirably. He's a better left tackle. He's a great swing tackle, though. He's the guy that you keep on a roster. If something happens to Colton, you know you got a guy that has starting NFL experience, and you're not going to get eviscerated with him being in. Putting him at right tackle is like a turnstile. You can't have it. So it's either Illuminor or Denzel Good, or if Alex Leatherwood could get his stuff together and get over there, you know what I mean? They might give that a whirl. But I think Alex Leatherwood can be an all-pro at right guard, to be quite honest with you. I think if you leave him at guard, his skill set lines up better being guard.
He said it, too. The week he moved, or the week after he moved to right guard, they asked him, like, how does that compare to being at right tackle? He's like, it's a little better for me because less space. And I think when he's out there in space, he just his mechanics aren't there yet. When he's out there on the island with a good edge rusher, with a Joey Bosa or something like that. TJ Watt, you saw it in the Steelers game, even though the Raiders won it. His mechanics aren't there. And I just think he's better inside in a booth versus being outside on the island with a talented edge rusher. And I think that's, again, that goes back to my point about what they see in right tackles. And again, they want the bigger bodies out there. And he just doesn't fit the description. If he is still 312 as listed on the website.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, there are a lot of guys on this roster, man, that they're question marks. Hopefully they get answered. I'm tired of waiting. I can't wait for the season. Listen, some people have some bold takes. I'm going to read some of them. You let me know what you think. Quentin Booker, my brother Booker, bold take. Bam will be starting right tackle.
Another one with the bandwagon is in the chat.
Yeah, man. I mean, it reminds me of the year that Al Davis drafted Bruce Campbell out of Maryland. Remember Bruce Almighty?
Yeah, you taking it back.
Yo, you remember that, man? When Al drafted Bruce Campbell, man, everybody, this guy is going to be the next. Listen, Bam, definitely big. He's 6'8". He's athletic. He doesn't have a lot of mileage on him. He's a kid who just started playing football probably 6 years ago. So if you can get Carmen Basilio and those guys to get a hold of him and coach him up, he has that frame that Trent Brown had.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He has good feet like Trent Brown. He doesn't have the weight issues that Trent Brown has. He's a guy, if they get their hands on him, maybe next year, we can talk about Bam coming in and starting. I think Thayer Mumford has more of a chance to come in and start at right tackle than Bam does, because Thayer Mumford playing at a high level of college football, actually playing, and winning an award for playing tackle in college. I think Thayer Mumford, based on the fact because he's going to be playing against guys at the next level that he actually played against in college. When you play at Utah, yeah, they're pros, but it's nothing like playing at Ohio State. So it's a big difference,
Raider Nation's kind of down on Mumford after that clip went around of him getting pushed to the ground by Aiden Hutchinson. I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm like, man, that's Aiden Hutchinson. Come on.
Yeah, bro. Like, the dude was supposed to be the number 1 pick. I mean, what the hell, bro?
Seriously, we're talking about the number 2 overall pick versus a 7th rounder. Come on now, guys. Come on.
No, that's dope, man. Yo, wait, hold on. Here we go. We got another one. Moton Wasted, the best Raider duo. What up, Mo? All is well, and same to you, Wasted. You guys are the most realistic Raider content creators. This man is more than a content creator. This man is a senior NFL writer. Put some respect on his name. Wash your mouth out with soap, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? I am a first-time, long-time Yahoo. Jim Jones, Chiefs Kingdom. And FAKC lives.
Oh, man.
Man, what are they talking about, man? FAKC was in here. What happened?
I think something fair. You know what? I got some Chiefs followers on my Twiter.
I got so many Chiefs in here, bro. It's crazy.
I got some of every AFC West team on my Twitter. I think of all, like outside of the Raiders, of course, I think I have mostly Chiefs people. Not too many Chargers. Maybe that fan base doesn't exist like that on Twitter.
No, yeah, bro. I mean, listen, let's be for real. Like,
No,
we gonna go back, right? Now, Mo, I think I'm a little older than you, but we're gonna go back. How many people can actually say that they saw Michael Jackson somewhere? It's not a lot of people. I'm talking about like, they went out to 7-Eleven, they saw Michael Jackson there. Michael Jackson was enigmatic. You didn't see him a lot. And that's the same thing for Chargers fans.
You're gonna tell
How many people can you say that you've actually saw a real live Charger fan in life? I haven't seen one, bro. I don't know. Matter of fact, I'm lying. I know one Charger fan. Like, I know one Charger fan, one of my homies that was a fan from when Dan Fouts and them was there. He's always a little older than me. Like, he's a Charger fan back then when Kellen Winslow and them was playing. So I give him his respect. You know what I mean? He was rocking a Natron Means jersey.
My co-host, Scott Branson, grew up a Chargers fan.
Okay.
Shout out to him.
Okay, so after that, how many of them that can you put on one hand and have some? You probably could put them on one hand and have some fingers left over, pretty much. There are no Chargers fans. It is a non-existent fan base. It is a joke of a football franchise, and we will dominate and rule them this year as we normally do.
See, we're out east, so we're not gonna run into any Chargers fans anyway. But Chargers fans aren't too loud on social media, but it is what it is, man.
It's hard to be loud, man, when you have no history. There's no history. All of the crap with the Phillip Rivers and the Danian and this one and that one. The end of the day.
The crazy thing about the Chargers is I grew up watching them, and it seems like they've always had good teams, but
great teams.
But they're just missing something that gets them over the hump, and they're always in the mix, but they're just missing that one thing, and then I don't know what it is.
Bro, it was no reason for the team with LaDainian Tomlinson and Rivers, and Sean Merriman, and all of them, and Quentin Jammer. There was no reason that team shouldn't have at least got to a Super Bowl. There's no reason. Like, seriously, man, it's shameful that they didn't get to a Super Bowl. But that's what happens when you have Marty, God rest his soul, Schottenheimer coaching you and choking away. That's what happens. Marty Schottenheimer was the master of the choke. He just was snake bitten as a coach, man, and not a choker, but he just was. Some coaches have that kind of karma, man. Like him, Jim Moore, some of them guys, man. They just great coaches and. They just could never get a break, man. They always get a bad beat here and there, man.
It's not to cut you up, but the crazy thing is they used to say that about Andy Reid before he started winning with the Chiefs. They was like, "Oh, Andy Reid's a good coach, but gets to the Super Bowl, can't get it done."
Well, see, I always knew that Andy Reid's problem were tied to whatever quarterback he had. People don't realize some of the deficiencies that Donovan McNabb had, and some of the things that had to go on and make Donovan McNabb successful. If you knew that, you probably wouldn't view it from that prism. And then those Philadelphia Eagles teams on the defensive side of the ball in the trenches were super talented, but offensively, they really were not that talented, man. Like every years where Donovan McNabb was throwing the ball 90 times to freaking Brian Westbrook.
Freddie Mitchell was a big thing at one point. Fred X Mitchell was a big thing at one point.
Boy, Fred X. The great Freddie Mitchell. Mm-hmm. He's on Twitter. He's funny on Twitter too, man. But Freddie Mitchell, like, come on, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no Todd Pinkston.
Yes.
Like, come on, bro. Like, and that's no disrespect to them brothers, but it's not like they had a who's who on offense, bro. It's kind of hard to get over the hump when you're dealing with like some of the teams, like even like the Patriots, right? The Patriots, say what you want, man. The Patriots didn't have the flashy names. They had guys who were productive, and they had guys that were smart football players, and I think we're trending in that direction. Do you think that there's too much that's made of the Patriot Way, supposedly? I mean, look, man, there's one thing to have proximity to greatness, and that is a lot of why I wanted Josh McDaniels. I like Josh McDaniels. I think he's very, very talented. We're going to see whether he's a great offensive mind or whether it was the fact that he was in the proximity of greatness for so many years to make it look so good.
I think a lot is made the Patriot way on social media. Because every time the Patriots make a move and they bring in a former Patriot, they do something, people are like, oh, the Patriot way. I don't look at it that way, because to me, you got to understand the structure, how the Patriots are run. Bill Belichick ran the show, except for last year. The reports are that Dave Ziegler actually was in charge of the spending in free agency, and that's why their free agency looks so different than the years past. He splurged on the market. He was a de facto GM, but for the most part, Belichick runs the show. So the Patriot way, to me, starts and stops with him. Once you go outside of that, you're getting variants. Maybe you're getting a spin-off of the Patriot way. But I think Dave Ziegler and Josh Daniels are carving out their own identity as, people who are running the team. I wouldn't call it the Patriot way. I wouldn't call it the Raider way. It's just that's the way they're doing it, Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler.
Yeah, and the thing about it is there's some traits that you're going to take away from the coaching tree. Like all of this goes back to the Ray Perkins coaching tree with the New York Giants. And Ray Perkins, then you get Bill Parcells. It's really the Parcells coaching tree, but they're running, Ray Perkins offense, to be quite honest with you. And they've improved on it. But you got Parcells, you got Belichick, and now this is what you have now here with us. So there are certain things that are always going to ring true with their philosophy on players and things of that nature. I mean, Mo, it's funny, man. I had so many things that I wanted to ask you, so many things that was rushing through my mind, bro.
Got time.
Then listen, we get on and I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? but seriously, beyond that, we've already covered the roster. We've covered some surprising cuts. We've covered what we think. I'm not going to ask you what our record is because, listen, you have your column, and could you do me a favor?
Coming out. That's coming out.
Do me a favor and plug your column and let everybody know where they can consume this. And all of my mods in the chat, could you please put that in the chat for me? Appreciate you.
All right. So the column isn't dropping until after the full schedule release. I'll let you guys know, since you're all in the chat. It's a prediction. It's a win-loss prediction for every team. So basically, I'm predicting the records for every team in NFL. Who's going to make the playoffs, who's going 10-6, who's going 3-14, whatever. That's dropping in about an hour. So in about an hour, you'll know how I feel about where the Raiders are finishing. That's dropping over at Bleacher Report, where I do all my NFL work. Sportsnet is where my Raiders work is specifically. But as I said, the big column that's coming out today, win-loss predictions for the 2022 season, that's dropping, so you'll know what I think the Raiders, how I think they'll finish. Are they a playoff team? Will they get 10 games? Will they win a division? Will they miss the playoffs? You'll have that answer in about an hour, about 50 minutes.
Facts. That's a beautiful thing, y'all. Bleacher Report, go over there, share that thing, like that thing, subscribe to our brother on Twitter. Make sure y'all tell a friend about this show. Y'all retweet this, y'all share this, because it's always magic when we get in a place to be. Week 2, 5 and 8 have been confirmed already. Arizona, Kansas City, and New Orleans. I think I'm gonna have to partake in some road games this year, brother.
If that's really quick, if that's true, I like the fact that they get Arizona early because they don't have to see DeAndre Hopkins, who's out for 6 games. That's a benefit.
We don't want to see Nuke at all. We don't want to see him, brother. I'm sorry, especially without having a cornerback on a roster that can stay with a player of that ilk. What do you think about some of the things that we can do post June 1st to improve this roster?
Sign Darrell Williams, number 1. Sign right tackle Darrell Williams, number 1. 1A, 1B, I guess, would be get Bradbury at an affordable price if he's willing to amend his price to be with his former defensive coordinator, again, Patrick Graham, because he had a Pro Bowl year under Patrick Graham. So maybe for the Texans, he was like, y'all gonna need to pay me more money to pay for a bottom feeding AFC South team that's not gonna make the playoffs. Maybe he's willing to come down in price for a team like the Raiders, who's coming off of a playoff run and is, to me, still in the playoff mix.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. But then also, there's another caveat. The Philadelphia Eagles are in on him. Yeah. The Washington Redskins are in on him. And as we all know, he had some of his best years playing under Riverboat Ron Rivera as well. So there are other teams that are in the mix that have more not draft capital, but cap space than we do. And that's what kind of concerns me a bit.
It's true, but what I will say though is, to my point, sometimes your price as a player is maybe at a certain level for one team, may not be the same price for another team. Just saying.
So, I mean, are you repeating a gentleman, a scholar, and a great savant, Mr. Fat Joe?
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Fat Joe said it perfectly.
Crack said it perfectly, man. The Don
said it perfectly. That couldn't have been a better soundbite.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to be honest with you. That is exactly how I think a lot of these players go into these negotiations. If I can win, if I'm in the right kind of city, okay, price is a little different. But if I got to be at a bottom feeding team, guess what? You're going to have to roll up that Brinks truck. And I ain't taking no shorts. I want all my coins immediately. And I'm hoping that's the case, because listen, the other day I said I would rather go out here and fill this roster up with a couple of guys that have started places, because we know how Patrick Graham does with defense. He is a versatile guy. He changes the scheme based off of the week, and he gets these guys in and out. That's why he has so many different linebackers, and so he can use them for the different formations that he have. I would rather us do that and fill the roster out and get some more players. But all things being equal, if we do go out and get a corner that's a high-priced corner, it's got to be Bradbury. I mean, he's been a top 5 corner in this league. He wasn't last year, but he has been.
All right. And the other thing is, he wasn't cut because of performance. It's basically a new regime came in. His dollar amount didn't match what they felt like they wanted to pay him for the year. So, of course, it came out months ago he was going to be a cap casualty anyway. So it's just a matter of now, what does he want to do? Where does he want to go? And where does he want to play? And it balls in his court right now. But you mentioned Jack Rabbit Jenkins as a backup plan. Man, Jack Rabbit Jenkins looked terrible with the Titans last year. Like he had to turn around because he was awful.
That boy was getting cooked last year.
Yes.
He was getting fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Like barbecue, like as Shaquille O'Neal would say, it's my Newark brothers barbecue
chicken.
Definitely, bro. So, okay, if we don't go that route, who would you think to be another free agent that's available that we can bring in?
Man, someone mentioned him earlier, but he might move to safety, Kevin King. Now, I know what people are going to say. He had a rough playoff run a couple years ago, made a big mistake, but, sometimes a guy gets into the system, plays a little better. Who knows? Former first-round pick, I believe. You give him a knock. What can he do if Bradbury is not available?
Did anybody pick up Mackenzie Alexander? I didn't hear about anybody picking up Mackenzie Alexander.
I don't think so, but he's strictly a slot guy. He's strictly an inside guy.
Yeah, he's always been that. He's not a guy you can put on the. Ever since he came out of college, he's been better. He's been great in the slot, but he's been, I've heard people talk about taking Nate Hobbs and trying to move him outside. I'm definitely not in favor of that. I'm gonna leave Nate Hobbs right where he's at, man.
Yeah, he played so well in the slot last year. I understand in Graham's scheme he could possibly be on the outside, but that would be, to me, that wouldn't be my first resort.
Yeah.
If you got to do it because you're covering for not having, a good outside corner opposite Trayvon Mullen, I kind of get it. But again, I stick with Anthony. Averett was pretty good with the Ravens last year. I wouldn't overlook him as a possible starter.
Yeah, listen, I think Lock Ya-Sin is going to start.
I think he is too.
Lock Ya-Sin, and I call him Lock Ya-Sin, not Rock Ya-Sin. But I think, Ya-Sin is going to start. Trayvon Mullen, we got to see how that toe recovers and how long he's going to be out. And also, after that, Averett is so green, man. I don't feel comfortable in this division with the level of wide receiver play. I mean, we might be down one wide receiver in this division because, as you heard, Jerry Jeudy, part of the dynamic Alabama duo, is in jail right now. Now, we don't know what he did. I wish the brother the best. I don't even want to speculate on that. He's a Bronco, but this is a little Raider adjacent news. This can affect the division. So we don't know about that. I'll find out later. I'm sure you're probably going to have to write a column about it. later. But when we look at this, if Jerry Jeudy's on the field, Keenan Allen is on the field. Listen, the Kansas City Chiefs went there and they retooled. They got some pieces. You're going to have some wide receivers and just in the AFC in general. And some of the teams that we got to play in the AFC West, Deebo Samuel's coming to town. We need corners, bro. And that is the main thing. We need corners and we need one more safety. Yo, hey, y'all get wasted with me, yo. Hit that like, hit that thumbs up, yo. We got almost 400 in the room, y'all. My brother, Moton, came, showed out, brother. I appreciate you, bro. You know how when you come through, man, it's like you got to catch that lightning in the jar, man. It's hard to prepare, brother. It's so hard to prepare. But you know what? I've learned something. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's true. I know I could be a difficult guest because I'm all over the place, but it's a schedule, man. I gotta react to news on the fly, so sometimes I don't always have a set time where I'm just free, like 8 p.m. Be there, be square. Sometimes I can't give you that promise. Sometimes it just happens spur of the moment like today. So
hey, Mo, listen, you gracing us with your presence is enough, brother. And to be honest with you, man, Raider Nation Unlimited is a home for you, brother. Listen, we got to talk behind the scenes, brother. We definitely got to talk behind the scenes, bro, because I got an idea. I'm not gonna talk about it on air, bro, but I definitely have a great idea, brother. Okay. Bro, I appreciate you, man. Yo, wait, hold. Let me read some of these chats before you get out. Yo, anybody, before we get out of here, we got another like 2 minutes, man. Before we get out of here, if y'all have any questions for the great Maurice Moton or myself, put it in the chat. We'll read it, man.
No pineapple pizza questions, please. No pineapple pizza questions. Nobody asking me to have. God. Nobody asking me to eat cheesecake on air. It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry,
bro. Wait a minute. Pineapple. Listen, I'm just gonna tell y'all right now. We are from the Northeast.
Yes.
Pineapple pizza is not pizza. It is a punishment.
Thank you.
Nobody in the world should have ever came up with that. Somebody who probably smoked a lot of marijuana came up with that whole little pineapple pizza contraption. That is not pizza. Stop it. Somebody just asked, is that Yannick Ngakoue? It's Yannick Ngakoue's younger brother. Thank you. They stupid, yo. Wait. Aussie Raider, no question. Just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Thank you, yo. Wasted good show today. I'm out. Thank you, Raider 805. My brother. Wait, hold on. Thoughts on Malcolm Kuntz's role?
Yeah, he's gonna be a rotational edge rusher. I think Kyler Fackrell is a little bit ahead of him because Kyler Fackrell had a 10.5 sack season 1 year, but I think Kuntz is still in the mix. Kuntz had a little bit of some flashes here and there, but he's going to be a depth piece. The main thing is, and I wanted to tie it back to your cornerback issue. When you don't have an elite cornerback, a number one guy that's can match up with number one wide receivers, you need a really good pass rush. And the thing about the Raiders is, I think they can come in waves. They have, as you know, Max Crosby. They have Chandler Jones. Kuntz, as this gentleman pointed out, I think he can have some flashes. Fackrell's there. The Raiders are going to be able to come at offensive lines and quarterbacks with the first wave of pass rushers, with the second wave of pass rushers, maybe a third wave of pass rushers that'll help that secondary out if they don't have a number one cornerback by the time the season starts.
Yeah, it'll be kind of like the metric that the New York Giants used back in their first 2007 Super Bowl. They had a track team on their defensive line. They were bringing guys in, Freddie Robbins and Tuck and Strahan and Umanura and Barry, what the hell? Barry Cotlin. What the hell?
I think Matthias Kiwanuka was.
Oh, Kiwi was still there. Manias Kiwanuka. So they were bringing guys in and out. So those big guys in the trenches weren't getting tired, and it was a relentless pass rush. So they were always able to rush 4 and drop 7.
Yep.
And it was very, very hard to contend with, man.
If you're questioned about your secondary and your coverage, a good pass rush can mask that in some cases. Not every week, but in some cases it can.
Yeah, I mean, every week, you're not going to go against the kind of guys in the league that just there's no answer for.
Right.
Guys like Tyreek Hill, guys like Nuke Hopkins, guys like our guy, Davante Adams. Shout out to Davante Adams, Derek Carr, and everybody on the Raiders. But, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I feel very confident. I'm going to give my prediction of what I think is going to happen this year. I actually think that the Raiders, and a lot of people are going to call me a homer for this, I think we are going to win this division.
Oh, hit the horn. Hit the Don DeMarco.
Listen. If I had it, brother, I'd hit the Don Juan DeMarco. And I'm going to tell you something. The reason why we are going to win this division is a two-pronged thing. We have the most depth up and down the roster in the division. Now, you have other teams that went, they swung big. They brought in the Khalil Macks of the world. They brought in the J.C. Jacksons of the world. But what you got to realize is that guys like Khalil Mack, Derwin James, all of these guys, you could slot them in for about 4 to 5 games a season of them not playing. You could just mark it down. And, you know, you are your habits. These guys get hurt. They've been hurt their whole career. I'm just going to be honest with you. And Khalil Mack has a situation where it looks like he's starting to kind of slow down in the lower part of his body as far as, you know, his legs. He's having all these lower body injuries, you know, and also beyond him, James never stays healthy. So you can't depend on him. And we're also depending on the fact that Justin Herbert is going to get much, much better. We don't know that. We really don't. There's a lot of guys in this league who had a good year first two, and then they fall off the face of the earth. The Denver Broncos are probably staunchly in fourth place. Their roster, the one thing that changed is Russell Wilson. And I understand they said if Denver goes and gets a quarterback, it's over. But Denver's problems go way deeper than just quarterback. Way deeper. The Denver Broncos are definitely a team that I think we should beat both times. And now what we're dealing with is a weakened Chief team without their home run threat. But guess who has a home run threat now? The Raiders. Davante Adams. We have a running back room that is full with running backs that can get us first downs. We have the best red zone scheming coach in the National Football League. We have a quarterback that has weapons, and when you give him weapons and protect him, is a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. We also have one of the best pass rushing duos in football. We have one of the best defensive coordinators in football, and we have balance up and down this defense. If we address and bring in one more corner, we are winning the division, and that's a stone cold lead pipe fact.
Hit the Don DeMarco.
Listen,
if he was here, he would.
No, if he was here, he would. That Don Juan DeMarco. I gotta get it, bro. You know the thing is, it's hard. It's hard to run OBS when you use StreamYard, and when you bring guests and stuff on. It's I have to learn OBS, but pretty soon there's going to be a retooling of Raider Nation Unlimited, and the look of the show will probably get up to the level of expertise and skill of the host, and then we are going to be out of here.
Okay. Okay, I see you.
Hey man, Mo, I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for coming on, man. As always, man, is always fire, bro. I hope that the chat didn't disappoint you today.
No, of course not. The chat is why I'm here today. The chat is why how I got my name today.
Bro, same here, brother.
75% of my following were Raider fans. So people continue supporting. I really do appreciate it because, again, I'm here because of y'all.
Brother, the nation loves you. You know it. We all know it. The nation messes with you, bro. And you always know that with myself, Docs, and the rest of us, man, we're right here on the pulse of Raider Nation. We always here, brother. So whenever you want to pull up and speak to the nation, the door is always open, my brother. Thank you for coming on. Y'all, this has been an excellent, an illustrious, and praiseworthy Raider Nation Unlimited. Y'all have a good night, man. Mo, thank you, brother.
Appreciate y'all.